Welcome to Voice Like a Lion podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Pemberton, and today I'm super excited to talk to someone who was introduced to me by a mutual friend, and this is Simon Cohen. He is the founder and CEO for 26 years of Henco, a world-class logistics company specializing in international cargo transportation that's been certified for 13 consecutive years, that's in a row, as the best logistics company to work for in Mexico. Simon has twice been awarded the most trusted CEO in 2017 and 2023. In 2022 and 2023, Simon placed in the top 20 for the most influential people in the transport and logistics industry. Simon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited because I've talked to so many founders. I've had people on the show that have done upwards of hundreds of millions a year. But for someone like you that has built not only what we would consider in the world's eyes as like success, but doing it in such a way that there's still joy, that there's still love, there's genuine enthusiasm, not only from you, but it sounds like from the people that also work for you and the company that you've built, that I've not heard of. So I'm really excited to hear how you've been able to build such an amazing culture.
You know, when you realize that we're dying every day, that time goes really fast and that you will not be able to go back when you were 20, and that you realize that, life's a blimp, that we're super vulnerable, and that we can just transcend at any time, you start enjoying life in a different way. It's a matter of perspective. And once you decide that you want to have a happy life and a fulfilled life, then you can start building on top of that, right? So the theory or the hypothesis starts with you cannot have a happy life if you're not happy at work. You cannot have a happy life if you're not a high performer. Life is too short to be happy only the weekends. So we need to work hard, but also to play hard and to enjoy. I have read hundreds of books, of business books. I have been in Harvard and Stanford and MIT. I have been in London Business School, in all these incredible universities in the States and abroad, in Mexico and everywhere. And I have never read one single book that tells you, hey, when you arrive to the office, you have to be serious and arrogant and stubborn. I've never. So why are we like that? Why do we try to take care of people the best way possible? People are the most important asset of every single company. So why are we mistreating our raw material? The best, the most important thing for us should be people, and we need to take care of them.
So what I gather from that, and what I love, is that I'm hearing this from the top of the food chain, is what we would say. Because a lot of times when, like for me, my background is I was actually in supply chain and logistics for a Fortune 500 company in the States for about 5.5 years. I was a mid management. And I just remember hearing that from the higher ups. It's like, people is what we care about. But I can promise you that we would vote that place as like number 10 of worst places to work in the United States, because there was never a focus on people. And that's why I was able, for me, to go up the chain so quickly, is because I just focused on my people. I focused on loving my people differently. And the surprising thing is when I treated people like people, they actually reciprocated that, treated me like a person, and actually were willing to do better work. So how were you able to construct that? Because I'm sure, maybe your background is you just had this figured out from day one. But I would imagine that it's been an evolution over time for you to figure out how to build and actually love on people the right way.
Sure, I will tell you the story later. But, bottom line, it is very important to take care of people, because people, they have feelings. And they love their kids as much as you love yours. And it doesn't matter in which part of the pyramid of the organizational chart you are. You are human and you have feelings. So you have to respect that. But we're here to work hard. We're not here to have fun, but we can have fun. We can enjoy it, but we need to be high performance and happy in it, right? So I decided to, to organize and to start, doing this philosophy or implementing this philosophy that it's called high performance happy people. So the theory is that if you sleep well, you eat well, you exercise, you meditate, you're grateful, you give charity, you help others, you have fun at the office. When you have to work, you will be an Olympic athlete at work. You will be a high performer. So in our company, we decided to put this philosophy, it's called high performance happy people, into 4 pillars. First pillar, wellness. We teach our people how to sleep well, mandatory sleeping seminars for everyone. We teach our people how to eat well. We teach our people how to exercise. The second one is it's mindfulness. We teach our people how to meditate, how to be grateful, because when you're grateful, you can be happier, right? You enjoy the good things and the bad things of life.
Yeah.
Third pillar, it's happiness. It's okay to have fun at the office, and this cannot be a top-down thing. It has to be a bottom-up. So
Mm.
you as leader, you have to put the atmosphere and to create the conditions for them to be happy and for them to enjoy, because we're not different, we're the same. It just happened that we're in a different position in the chart, but it's the same, right? And one thing that we cherish a lot in this happiness part is to give. When you're a giver and you go and you give charity and you help people and you make them better because of your presence, and that stands and lasts in your absence, then you can have an amazing, amazing life and fulfilled life, right? So the fourth pillar is high performance. So tell me what, I don't know, Tom Brady is doing, the night before the Super Bowl. They're not working hard. They're not, running a marathon. They're not staying awake until 6 in the morning working to prepare the, game plan for the next day. They're resting. They're eating well. They have visualizations. And that's exactly the same thing in a high performance team like a company. So this is the secret. The secret is to take care of people as people, to enjoy life, because life is too short and it's a blimp, and we're dying every day. We're not living. When you're born, they turn around the sand clock of life, and you cannot stop it, right, Stephen?
Yep.
The problem
100%.
is the only problem is that you don't know how much sand you have in your sand,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That for everyone listening, Simon is putting on a masterclass on how to be an insightful leader. Because when I hear you talk about that, especially when you talk about the sand and the hourglass, there was a loved anime producer who he just passed away randomly. So Akira Toriyama, he created Dragon Ball Z, and he died overnight. No one expected it. Subdermal hematoma. So a blood clot in his brain killed him. How would he ever know that?
Sure,
No
nobody
one would
knows it.
ever know that.
When I was
And
32, really young,
yeah,
sorry to jump in
no,
because
you're
this is
fine.
important. I started my company when I was 22, and I was a workaholic. The only thing I wanted in life is to become a billionaire. Like, I really wanted money, money, money. If you can do it,
Mm,
I can do it. If Steve Jobs can do it, I can do it. If Bill
yeah,
Gates can do it, I can do it. It was for me a matter of focus and purpose, right? And I worked really hard. I worked 20-hour shifts for 10 years until one day I was traveling in Hong Kong. I was, waiting for someone to get to arrive to a restaurant to have dinner with me. And I feel a big hit in my chest and I faint. Next thing I know,
mm,
I'm in an ambulance going to a hospital in Hong Kong, and they diagnosed me with a heart attack when I was 32. And
wow,
when I arrived to the hospital, after all these exams, they told me, "Hey, Simon, you know something? It's not a heart attack. You were born with something called Wolf Parkinson White disease,
I had
and this,
that.
you have it, so you
Yeah,
know what that means."
mm-hmm,
So I have Wolf Parkinson White, which is kind of uncomfortable and it's crazy,
mm-hmm,
but I never knew about it. So then they told me, "Hey, but you have a lot of stress. If you don't slow down, you will die."
wow,
And for some time, I just thought that the doctors were crazy. And then I came back to Mexico and I went to the doctors. They told me you have Wolf Parkinson White and a lot of stress. And I said, I don't trust them either. And then I went to the States and they told me after a few $1,000, you have a, you have Wolf Parkinson White and a lot of stress. So for a year, I was struggling with my health, Stephen, and I decided to go, to the Caribbean, to an island in the middle of nowhere to start to get rid of my medicines, right? Because medicines, they can help you, but also they can kill you, right?
mm-hmm,
And I was super intoxicated with medicine. So one day the power went out on the entire island, and I was there with my three daughters and my wife, and they started crying. It was very dark. So I told my three daughters, "Hey, girls, let's go outside to see the stars," right? So I was laying on the floor in the sand with my three daughters on my belly, my wife on my back, looking at the stars. And I said, right there, I'm the wealthiest guy on earth.
wow,
And my daughters asked me, "Hey, Dad, why are you crying?" And I said, literally, I don't know the day that I'm going to die, because with Wolf Parkinson White, we have this thing called sudden death. And I said, but I'm going to be the happiest person on earth from now on, and no
Mhm.
one will interrupt me to achieve that goal. So I started planning my life towards happiness and fulfillment, and this is why we learned so many things about happiness and fulfillment.
That is honestly, this is the first time I've had a guest on that has moved me to the point of becoming really emotional, because that, I mean, that really speaks to me, because not many people have what we have as far as that heart condition goes. It's rare. And I just remember being told, because I used to have those spells where my heart would kick into the palpitations and I'm going at 220 beats per minute. And they told me, it's like, if it's any more than 15 minutes, you need to go to the ER. And it's like, I've had them for hours. And they said hours. And it's like, yes, hours. And they said, we're surprised you're even alive. So you just explaining your story, honestly, is shifting my perspective. And I hope everyone listening is shifting your perspective on what wealth really looks like. Yes, you can have as many zeros as you want to in your bank account. You can be in the Forbes top 100 richest people in the world. But if you're not fulfilled, if you're not happy, you don't actually have real wealth. You just have what everyone else thinks is wealth. And I
So,
love that. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you. And for your audience, it's very important to realize that people believe that having money will solve your problems. And sometimes more money, more problems. And the bigger your banking account is, the bigger the problems are. So you have to be grateful for what you have, but also for what you don't have. And you have to appreciate life that way. And one of my favorite quotes in my book, which is called Fulfilled, is when you get what you want, is life directing you. But
Mm,
when you don't get what you want, is life protecting you. And if you make, your best effort and you don't get what you're dreaming or your goals or your achievements, I mean, it's okay. You will be better. The two worst news that I have received in my life, with time, they became the best news in my life with
mm.
time. So, you have to understand life in a different perspective and try to understand life from the end to the beginning, and not the way we live it usually from the beginning to the end, because we believe that we're eternal and we're not.
Yes. Yes. Speaking on time, there was a moment where I got to see basically the hourglass flip, where I get one message from my parents that I had a great aunt, pass away. And at the same moment, I get another text from a friend that they are expecting a baby. And literally 5 minutes apart. And that's why when you're sitting here and you're talking about time, I love the way that you're putting all of this. This is for people listening. You need to listen to what Simon is saying. This is going to change your life. Finding gratitude not only for the things that you get, because it's easy, especially in the Western culture. It's just go hustle. The more you can get, the better you are. If you don't have success, then you're not worth anything. And so many people tie their worth to their net worth, but I don't believe that's a right way to do it. And especially when you're saying to go find real value, gratitude in the things you didn't get. That is super insightful.
Yeah, but what success? First, we have to define success.
Yes, you got to define it.
And then we will have to define happiness. And then we will have to define fulfillment. Okay?
Mm,
Success is a feeling, first of all. There's people selling chewing gum in the streets in Mexico that they can feel more successful than being Bill Gates one day, right? Because they sold the entire box of chewing gum and they feel successful,
wow.
right? A little kid that jumped and made, I don't know, a flip in there, they can feel successful because of that. Maybe a little kid playing football on the streets with two shoes as a
Yeah.
goal, they can feel successful because they scored, right? That is success, a feeling. Second, what is happiness? Happiness is being at peace, and happiness is bidimensional. I can be happy for being here. Well, I cannot be happy at home. It's not the case. I'm just inventing, right?
Yes.
I can be happy at home, but not happy with my friends. I can be happy with my friends and not happy with my parents. Okay? Happiness is bidimensional. Okay? And don't confuse happiness with euphoria. If you're a Chiefs fan and they scored and they won the Super Bowl, that is not happiness. That is euphoria, okay? That is being excited. That's not happiness. Happiness is being at peace. And fulfillment, when you are fulfilled, is when you look yourself at the mirror and you feel at peace. When you look at your wife, your husband, your partner, whatever, and you feel at peace. You look at your kids and you're at peace, your work and you're at peace, your friends and you're at peace, your parents and you're at peace, and your siblings and you're at peace, and you go 360 and you go back to the mirror, Stephen. You look yourself again, you breathe in, and you feel at peace again. And that's being fulfilled.
So what do you do when you're going through this cycle? And even as you mentioned in your example, is like you have peace here, you have happiness, you have fulfillment here, but it's not in every area. How do you find fulfillment in each area of your life?
So work it out. It's depending on your vision of life. And I think that you can work out relationships, you can work out, your feelings, your sentiments. It's like a muscle. Like
Yeah.
my good friend Tal Ben Shahar is always saying, PTSD, everybody knows PTSD. When you are, in a trauma, then you can just go back to normal. The most important thing is to go to PTG, post traumatic growth. So when you come back better, then you can grow. This is the anti-fragile situation, right? So it's very important to understand where you're coming back. If you have a tragedy, if you fail in something, if you're not doing well, hey, listen, you will come back stronger and better. And that's, the purpose of life. And that's exactly where you want to go. So if you want to have peace with your wife, start talking in a different way. Start taking care of her in a different way. Start doing things that are going to change. Because when nothing changes, if I change, everything changes. And
Yes.
stop blaming others because we're always blaming others. She's not behaving well. My people are not working hard enough. Da 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 da. It's all a matter of blaming someone. Why don't you look at the mirror? See yourself at the mirror and try to think, what can I do different in order to become a better human being? And that's exactly the question you have to ask yourself.
And that is the perfect question to ask. And I think that that takes courage to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm not as great as I once thought I was. Maybe there's some things that I need to work on to better the relationship, to better the business, to better my friendships. And being able to do that in such a way, especially as you are describing it, that is the way that you have true fulfillment in each area. But to the person who's listening and you go, and they go, hey, that's amazing. That sounds great. But what is a practical way for me to actually do that? So I've looked in the mirror, I've realized there's some deficits I have. Would you suggest I read books? Would you suggest I go to conferences? What do you suggest I do?
Smile. It's easy. It's cheap.
Mm,
Everybody smiles in the same language.
yeah,
Stop being mad with crazy things that are not controllable. Hey, it's raining, so I'm mad. Really? You cannot control that. Control the controllables. That's it. Put the best energy into your everyday activity. Start with your own energy. Okay? Start with your own perception of life. You are frozen. I don't know if you're there or not. I'm
yep,
sorry.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're
So
fine.
start with yourself. Start, by putting good energy into your days and, making the day for someone else. Because when you really appreciate someone else's success, you're in a different level, right?
Yeah,
When you arrive to the office and you just high five someone in the elevator or on the aisles, or you see someone and you give them, the little piece of chocolate that they like, that makes a difference. But it's not for them, it's for your own, it's for yourself. And you can just thrive with that because it's just being human, right? So yes, continuous education and learning is very, very, very important. The day you stop growing, you start dying.
yeah,
Yes, learn. But the leader of the future is not the brightest, is not the one that shouts the most, it's not the most energetic, is the one who knows how to listen more, is the one that has the biggest heart. That is the leader of the future. Knowledge is not enough.
yeah. I can easily see why you've been so successful in your endeavors because you approach it differently than 99.9% of people I've ever talked to. Even some of the most successful people I've talked to do not approach life the way that you do. And the way that you approach life, it seems, has dictated the level of success that you have encountered. Because when you are talking about treating people like people, for you, it's treating the C-suite like people. They get to treat the mid-management like people. The mid-management treat the frontline managers like people, and the frontline managers treat the frontline like people. Now, all of a sudden, you have a company that moves as one body. There's unity instead of division.
Sure. And you know, what is a leader? Because sometimes you have to play the role of a leader.
Yes.
A leader is the person that brings the best out of their teammates
Yep.
in his presence or her presence, and that energy lasts in her absence or in his absence. Okay. When your energy stays there when you're not there, that's when you are a true leader. And then, what is a selfless leader? A selfless leader is the one who serves. Okay, the pyramid usually, you know, the organizational chart, the people in the bottom have to serve the people on the top. What we do is we flipped over this chart,
Yes.
and us, that we are founders, that we are the CEOs, we need to serve our directors, the directors need to serve the managers need to serve the supervisors. And once you do that, you are super cohesive, right? So you're one single team, and we can just move faster. And that's what we do here. We listen to people, we understand what their needs are, and we're here to serve. And if we serve, we'll thrive together.
And that's what I hear. I mean, because the way that you guys approach taking care of your employees as people, as a whole person. So you're talking about wellness, you talked about them getting good sleep, actually taking care of their bodies, being able to practice gratitude, which for a lot of people that I've talked to, they've always said, well, gratitude is just hocus pocus. But it's not. You if you wake up and you just say thank you. If you go to bed and you say thank you, you actually start your day and end your day with a word of gratitude, whether you are someone of faith or not. I promise you that will change your perspective on what that means. Because waking up, you are not promised that. Like we talked about earlier, you are not promised to wake up. So just saying thank you that I lived another day. It could be the worst day you've ever gone through, but just ending it with a thank you, opening it with a thank you, that will change your perspective.
Sure. And not only being, grateful, but also, being vulnerable, you
Yes.
know, and being vulnerable and telling people what your feelings are and what's going on in your life. And, sharing some things that are sometimes private, but they will understand you better. So if you put the conditions for everybody to speak out freely, and then you can just understand what's going on behind the scenes. But because people are telling me always, you're a dreamer, and because you're successful, and that's why you say that. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm successful because I'm happy, not I'm happy because I'm successful, right?
Ooh.
So that's very important. I'm successful because I'm happy. And what is success? A feeling. I don't care how much money I have compared to someone else. I am just fulfilled. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing because I'm doing it with my best effort. Now, very important, we need to be hungry and ambitious and want to have the biggest company in the world, but without losing the humbleness, right? We need to have our feet on the ground always. And that's what happened with people that are, I would say, successful in the way that everybody uses that word.
Yes.
It's they start getting money, they start, being a little famous, and they lose it. And being humble, I believe, is the most important characteristic of a good leader, and that's what I believe.
Yes. I agree with you 100%. I'm I'm just so fascinated with you as a person. I've usually by this point in the podcast, we've already talked about your business. We've talked about how you founded it. We talk about all of that. But honestly, none of that matters because you are sharing the roadmap for people, whether they're in a job or whether they are a founder, whether they are a billionaire. You're giving people the roadmap to living a fulfilled life, which is much more important.
Correct. I don't know if that's the secret recipe for everyone or the secret sauce for everyone, but at least if you get some inspiration from what I'm saying, I'm gonna be happier tonight. It's for me, it's very important to transcend that way. I don't want to be remembered when I die as the wealthiest guy in the cemetery. I want to
Yes.
be remembered as the person that changed many lives and then help people, to thrive and to be successful. And that's, what I believe, pure inspiration, right? And every single day, every morning that I wake up, I say, thank you. I have another opportunity. I just have to run faster and grow bigger and bring more things to the table here, but also without losing you know the ground, right? Just keep your feet on the ground all the time.
Yes, and that's so good. So, what are some ways if people want to connect with you, which I hope everyone listening wants to at least follow along on your journey? How do they connect with you?
Sure, I'm on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. At Simon Cohen S, Simon Cohen's, and you can find me there. And some of my publications are in Spanish, but I promise, many of them are in English also. So I promise I will put translation, and I will try to put, as many as I can in English for sure. So just go there, click there, send me a message, and I will send you back a couple of tips, a couple of words, and I hope I can help you change your life for the better.
And I know you have with me, and all that will be in the show description as well. So you don't, for those of you listening, you don't have to like, okay, how do I type this all out? It'll be down there in the show description. Just make sure to click on it. We'll have it all linked out. But Simon, before I let you go, I always ask this one question at the end of the show, and I'm actually fascinated to see how you answer this because you have a completely different perspective than most people that I ask this question to. The question is what is something in your life right now that you are overcoming?
So look, we have challenges every day in
Mm-hmm.
life, in business, in family, the vision, the mission of the companies, your personal journey. I believe that it's a personal challenge what I'm overcoming right now, which is being the best version of myself. I want
Mm.
to keep growing. Want to keep learning. I want to learn more from people that I don't know, and I have to get to know them better. So I'm working on it. I'm working hard on it, and I'm trying to build better teams. I don't know. It's part of the journey, and I'm continuously trying to become a better human being, and that's something that it will never end. So this is my constant pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. Right? It's constantly trying to become a better human being, learning more, sharing more, and trying to to put as many things in my brains as I can.
That reminds me of a quote from Matthew McConaughey. So Matthew McConaughey was, I believe, he was at an award show, and Matthew McConaughey, the quote that he said was, he got asked a question when he was younger, "Who's your hero?" And he said, "Give me a minute to think about it." So he comes back and he says, and the guy asked him, "Who's your hero?" And he said, "It's me in 10 years." So he meets the guy in 10 years, and he goes, "Well, are you your hero now?" And he said, "No, not even close." He said, "Talk to me again in 10 years." And so in 10 more years, he asked him, "Are you your hero yet?" And he said, "No, not even close." And he said, "I will never become that version of me." He said, "But my goal is to always keep chasing him." And I believe that that is exactly what you're saying. And I think that that's such an amazing way to look at life because that is the ultimate goal is becoming the best version of you. And so I just want to thank you for joining me here today on the show. I want to thank you for all the amazing nuggets. If it wasn't for anyone else listening, it was for me. So I just want to thank you for being here.
Sure, my pleasure. And please don't forget to, read the book. The book is called Fulfilled. You can find it on Amazon. It's right here.
Okay.
It's a very simple book to read. And I will ask you for a big favor. Give me a
Okay.
number. Give me a number from, let's say, 35 to 200, just randomly. And we will open up the book and we will see what quote comes out. Okay. This is just,
Okay.
okay, random. Just a number.
196.
196. Okay. That's almost in the end. 196. 1 second. Right here. 196. Actually, that's the last page of the book. I will go one page before.
Okay.
Okay? There is no growth without suffering. That's the
Wow.
first quote. Second quote, living is about flourishing as human beings. Third quote, we must bloom so, wait. We must bloom so that When it's our turn to wither, we do it with dignity.
Mm.
The next one, success is a feeling in the soul, not a number in the bank account. So that's exactly how the book is written, with big
Well,
words, and it's highlighted. It's super simple, and I believe that there's a lot of things that they can buy, and they can get, and they can learn if they just read it carefully.
that's amazing. I'm glad that I picked that number because those quotes speak directly to me as a person right now.
Sure,
So that's amazing.
awesome. So thank you so much, Stephen, for having me, and let me know if I can be of any help. I'm here to serve.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And the same to you. I'm here to serve however I can, whatever you need. And for those of you listening, thank you again for joining us on this episode. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.